Hey! So, we're moving on to game number 2 in the tiebreaks. Carlsen won the first game in typical Carlsen fashion, grinding him down in the end game. But now, we have Giri with the white pieces. He has to win to tie the match. Giri opened with e4, e5 by Carlsen. And after that, f3, knight c6, the question was, would he go for the Italian or the Spanish? He went for the Italian. But of course, Carlsen is well rehearsed is what I wanted to say in the Italian. With the Italian being quite topical lately, and with him having played it in the World Championship match against Karyakin. a6, d6, castles, and then a6. And now rook e1 by white. Now white always has to be careful about allowing knight a5, which can sometimes be a positional threat, picking up the bishop, as it doesn't have a square to go to. But here white can play b4, and he's absolutely fine. Well, more than fine, he's just much better. Both sides get a bishop, and black must spend more time on his knight. And white has exchanged his a b pawn for a c pawn, which is beneficial for him. So this will be better for white. So bishop a7, but now knight a5 is a positional threat, so therefore the bishop pulls back to b3. Castles by Carlsen, h3, and this is a typical play. h3, then this knight maneuver follows. Sometimes the queen comes to e2. After h6, Giri gets on with it, and he played this really fast. Meanwhile, Carlsen was spending a little bit more time, and he said afterwards that he had some trouble adjusting to the speed of play after having played 13 rounds of classical chess. Bishop e6, bishop to c2. So in this game, Carlsen fell a little bit behind on the clock. But after this bishop retreat, he played d5, and Giri can take on d5, but if he doesn't, he has to avoid the queen trade, so he played queen e2. D takes on e4, and Giri took back. And now queen e7 by Carlsen. And again, just classical play. Just like in the other game, it's a different position, but he gets his rooks on the most logical squares. Knight h4. One of the main plans of white in this line, get a knight into f5. So how to counter that? It's not an obvious maneuver, but Carlsen went queen f8 here, and in some cases it enables g6, but it also opens the e7 square for the knight to challenge the f5 knight, and that's what he did here. Here Giri decided to retreat this knight to e3. Can't really do much. Queen f3 comes into consideration. That's what the commentators were focusing mostly upon. But in that case, black can probably take, and okay, at least white has got the bishop pair, and that's something to work with. But black is already fine. He can double on the d file, and should have enough activity to counter white. First we have to play rook d6 or queen e7, cover the f6 knight, but should be fine for black. This bishop is especially strong. But Giri didn't like that. Maybe he felt it wasn't enough. Played knight e3, keeping the pieces on the board. Knight g6 by Carlsen. Now he has his own ideas. Knight f4, knight g to f5, knight f4 by Carlsen, and queen f3. Here Carlsen played c6, but the computers are screaming for g6. It's a little bit complicated though. The main idea is if the knight pulls back, then knight h7, and all of a sudden black is getting a lot of active pieces and just taking over the initiative. And this is already a good knight here, and the other one comes to g5, so white would have to be careful there. And perhaps the best move, according to the computer, is like knight g4, but it's a complicated line. Carlsen didn't feel the need to go for any complications, and he went with c6, which is a solid move. Now knight g4 anyway by Giri. Takes and pawn takes. And now, critical moment, Carlsen plays g6 now. And Giri decides to go for it. He sacrifices the piece. Bishop takes f4, allowing black to take on f5. And Carlsen is forced to do so, because otherwise the knight will simply retreat, or given the choice, maybe even take on h6. So we have to accept the sacrifice here. And here, Carlsen didn't want to defend. If he plays a move like bishop c4, there are so many things you have to think about. He's already down on the clock, and white has ideas like e5 or f6. With f6, the king is already feeling a little bit exposed. Once this diagonal opens up, there can be a mate threat. But with best play, black should be able to defend. But it's very dangerous, especially when you're down on the clock in a blitz game. And Carlsen decided to give back the piece, even though he will be down a pawn. He played queen g7. So Giri, of course, took the piece, and now he's up a pawn. Carlsen, however, does have some compensation. First of all, there are opposite colored bishops, and he's relying on the drawing tendencies of opposite colored bishops, especially since he only needs a draw. And for now, this bishop is quite good here. At the moment, it looks like white has the initiative. I mean, he's off the pawn. He has several ways to improve the position. e5, in some cases bishop b3. But what happens now? Okay, rook d1, good move, because the threat was rook f6. That's what black wanted to play. But now if you play it, well, not right now, but if you take first and play rook f6, okay, you're hitting this, but forget about it. There's e5, check, and white wins. So Carlsen has to spend a move here, and he played rook d2 e8. So here, yeah, the question is, do we defend rook e2 or play e5? The consensus was, if e5, black should win the pawn, so rook e2 seems like a better try. That's what Giri did. And now Carlsen again relied on the drawing tendency of the opposite colored bishops. Played queen g5, wanting to improve the pawn structure, and probably it's really difficult to win. But either way, Giri should have gone for it. Either take or g3 as the computer suggests. And Jan Smeets also suggested g3 during the broadcast, but Giri went for queen f3. But now all of a sudden, black's pieces come to life, and he takes over the initiative. Rook f6, hitting the queen. The queen doesn't have a lot of good squares. It went to h3, and now queen f4. Now we're simply threatening to take this pawn, so white has to get a little bit passive. Rook f1. And now the other rook comes. Ideas of rook g5 or h5, depending on circumstances. And now, all of a sudden, regretting not having exchanged the queens, Giri is begging for a queen trade. Queen h2. Carlsen thought about it. I wanted the queen trade before, but now, no. I'm just taking over the initiative here. Queen g5. And yeah, the game is shifting here. g3. Queen g4 hitting the rook. Rook d2. Rook g5. Now, this bishop is sitting like... all the pieces are lined up on the king's side, but this guy is sitting here and he's making all the difference. Now, queen takes g3 is threatened. e5, a Zwischenzug. And perhaps a little bit of desperation. Carlsen thought for a little bit here, he played rook takes e5, but he had a killer move here. And most likely, he had been calculating lines and rejected them based on the bishop coming to d1. So rook f3. But now bishop d1 is simply not in time because we take on g3. And after king g1, h1, even though there are two pieces attacked, it's easily avoided with queen e4 check. And now rook g1 is coming. And black simply wins. So rook f3 is really difficult to meet. One of the main ideas is that king g2 looks logical, you unpin, but now there's rook h5. And the queen... it's not sitting pretty, it's going to be lost. It has to take on h5. Can't go to g1. It's too ugly. We can even play rook f4, and now we have 2 mate threats. Not much you can do about it. So rook f3 could have been played, but okay. Carlsen saw the free pawn, took it. Now material is equal, and he has the initiative. He can't really lose. Bishop d1, queen to g5, and after rook d3 and rook e to f5, Giri played queen h4, and apparently more or less resigned the match and offered a draw here. And okay, Carlsen can play on, but a draw is sufficient for him. He was really tired after tremendous effort in the last few days, so of course he just took the draw. Objectively, black is a bit better because now f2 will fall, but with the opposite colored bishops, it's actually not like super clear. Let's say you take this, the rook is already coming into d7, and you know, so white will get some pawns back, but black has some winning chances. But Carlsen didn't see any reason to be trying to win this for 5 extra minutes when the draw already secures the title. So there we have it. Magnus Carlsen wins the Tata Steel 80th edition in 2018, and he breaks the record. He has won this tournament, this historical tournament, 6 times, and that's more than any other player in history. He previously shared the record with Vishy Anand, but now it's his. Magnus Carlsen is in the record books and cementing his legacy as one of the all-time greats. I thank you for watching my videos. I hope you enjoyed my coverage from this tournament. If you want to see some further games from this tournament, you know, drop me a note, leave some comments. I'm always open to suggestions, but for now somebody is shooting up fireworks in my backyard on the 28th of January, which is completely illegal, but somehow that happens in Iceland. Yeah, but thanks guys. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.